You can generate leads on LinkedIn the slow way, posting every day, commenting everywhere, or you can just talk to potential customers on actual calls. One of my clients, Sergey, did exactly that. He used what we call the research call method and closed 22 clients in 5 months. In this video, I'll show you exactly how it works, including what to say in the first message so it actually gets a reply, how to invite someone on a call without getting ghosted, and how to run research calls in a way that make people genuinely curious about what you do. Let's get into it. So what even is a research call? It's a one-to-one conversation like a user interview where your goal is to understand how your ideal customer thinks, talks, and ultimately what they're struggling with. Big companies do this all the time. They run focus groups and customer interviews to make their product better. I literally just got this email from ActiveCampaign inviting me to one. So you're about to do research calls, but on LinkedIn. I've run over 400 of these calls myself, and it's a great lead generation method if you know how to lead these conversations the right way. Remember, the goal of the first call isn't to pitch. It's to listen, ask good questions, and build trust. At the end, you thank the prospect for their insights and ask if they'd be open for a quick follow-up once you're ready to share what you're building. That second call is where you make the offer. Think of this as a two-call close. The first call is all about understanding your customers' challenges and pain points. And the second call is where you recap their pain, show what you've built, and make a special offer. So here's how to run research calls on LinkedIn step by step. Step number 1, send connection invites. If you are on LinkedIn Premium plan, you're able to send out 200 connection invites every single week, and you should absolutely be using these up, maxing them out on a weekly basis, because in my view, that's the reason you're paying for premium. So you're gonna either use the basic search bar on LinkedIn, which comes with a couple of filters that are gonna help you refine your ideal customer and send out your connection invites out, or if you do already have Sales Navigator, there are a lot more filters you get to apply to be more specific in terms of who you want to target on LinkedIn, because ultimately, LinkedIn has millions of profiles and it is your job to find your ideal customer by filtering the search. What you can see I'm also always doing is I'm going to use Boolean operators to narrow it down. Especially, you see I'm using the operator not to exclude the types of people I'm not looking to target, especially other people who are doing marketing, for example. I'm not going to go into details of Sales Navigator in this video, though I have a full half-an-hour breakdown of how I personally use this tool, and I'm going to link it up here in the cards. All I want you to do or remember as step 1 is that every single week you're sending out 200 connection invites. So in Sales Navigator, I would go ahead, click these 3 dots, I'm going to click connect, and I'm going to go ahead and click send invitation to Jamie over here. Now, the main thing you probably just noticed is that I never send out personalized notes with my connection invites because, again, we need to connect with 800 ideal customers every single month, and you truly cannot personalize all those invitations. And the reason, by the way, people accept your invite is because your profile is supposed to be your sales page, and if they see a reason to connect with you, they will accept that invite. And to give you more data behind this, currently, the acceptance rate I have for my connection invites is 39.6%, basically 40% acceptance without personalized messages. I am very happy with this because in the next step, once people accept the invite, that's when we're going to surprise them. Step number 2, send a personalized GIF. As your ideal clients keep accepting the connection invites, your job is to send the first message which is going to make them laugh or smile. For the last 5 years, I have been sending a personal GIF as the very first message, and what you see on the screen right now is the GIF that is going out to all my new connections. And right underneath that GIF, I will always say, "So great to connect with you, John. So great to connect with you, Sarah." And if you're wondering why are we sending a GIF as the first message, we simply want to create curiosity and also break the ice with your ideal client. Because remember, your prospects, your ideal customers on LinkedIn are constantly receiving long and boring sales pitches that are spammy, trying to push some service or product onto them, and they just ignore them. They're so used to saying, "Oh, long message, archive it, long message, ghost that person." And it doesn't matter how many times you follow up, nobody's gonna get back to you. Nobody likes to be spammed. I think we can all agree with that. Let me know in the comments. So if you know that this is happening on LinkedIn all the time, I want you to come across different. I want it to be fun and fresh, and you're not pitching anything. You're just sending a fun GIF and you're saying, "So great to connect with you." Though, let data speak for itself. What you're seeing right now on the screen is the response rate I get whenever I send a GIF to a new connection. So currently 43.3% of the people actually respond to the first message I send them. Compare that to whenever you send spammy messages, the average for those spams that go out is at best 1 to 2%, sometimes 0.9% from people that I know who do that, and they have disclosed their stats to me. So 43% versus 1 to 2%, I think the GIF wins. You can see Natalie saying, love the GIF, that's fabulous. Chris is saying, thanks Vendy, brilliant. Bobby is saying, thanks Vendy, you got great energy. Rosie is saying, a very cool custom GIF, I might have to steal that idea. I do suggest that you do. Jesse here is saying, great to connect with you Vendy, I love your GIF. Stacy is saying, you too Vendy, and I have to admit, you made me look at your profile, great job. When you start sending GIFs, you're gonna notice that you're gonna get so many super positive responses and even compliments for what you're doing, because again, you're standing out, people don't expect it. Though many people will simply reply to you by saying, same here, likewise, and that is also great because we're getting a response from them, and that's about to move us into the next step. I will, these days. Okay, Vendy focus. I will link a video up here in the cards of how to create your own custom GIF. Though until you're ready to create your own, another thing you can do is actually use the GIFs that you have on LinkedIn, and you can maybe type in a show or type in something that your ideal customer would know and send that as the first message. Again, the idea is to break the ice and to make them smile. So before I had my own custom GIFs, this was back in 2020, I used to send this kangaroo, you can say October 2020, and again, like I got very positive responses. Lena saying, oh my God, just saw your message, absolutely love it. And again, that kangaroo, it was just doing some funny things, and I mean, I loved it. At some point, I was also sending this whales. So whale, hello there. It's a pretty overused one though, I will say that, though again, people are saying, love this Vendy, happy to connect. So again, you just wanna be different. You just basically don't wanna be pitching in a first message, which I think is a pretty reasonable thing to do. So let me just show you how simple it is to send a GIF. You're gonna go ahead and click to My Network, and then you're gonna select Connections over here, and you're gonna see that you can see all your most recently added connections. So when I max out at 200 invites, the next step is to send the person a custom GIF. So I typically like to double click on this and open basically multiple people in a new tab. You're actually not seeing my tabs right now. So this is what's happening here at the top. I'm opening up multiple tabs. That's going to launch that person. And if I'm sending a personalized GIF, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna select this, and I'm going to select, which one are we going for? I have so many. Maybe this, maybe that's a bit much. Let's go. Maybe this is just as much, but okay. The main thing I wanted to highlight though is that whether you select a GIF, by the way, from here, or you can look it up, right? Here we go. I mean, ain't that bare fun? All right, or your own, you have to send the GIF first. Very, very important, okay? Click send. Because whenever you send a GIF, it's gonna show up here as the attachment. And it's just gonna look spammy. If you send it together, if you send a text message and a GIF together, it shows up as the attachment. Nobody is going to open up your messages if they see you sent an attachment, okay? They expect spam. So you send a GIF first as a separate message, and then you're gonna type in, so great to connect with you, comma, I'm sometimes lazy. I'm literally just gonna copy the person's name. And I like to do a wave emoji, like so, and I'm gonna click send. Voila! We have sent the GIF, which is moving. My Wi-Fi is just being a tad bit slow today, and the message underneath. And I just want to show you real quick that Zachary already responded. So this moves into the next step. Step number 3, organize responses. Now, it is no secret that the native LinkedIn inbox is a mess. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Condo, who are the amazing sponsors of this video and are also giving you a free 30-day trial, because honestly, I would cry if I had to manage my inbox without them. To get your 30-day Condo trial, click the link in the description and it's going to open up this very page. And now we're going to click to install Condo. We're going to click to add this to your Chrome browser. Very important, definitely use Chrome. Then again, we're going to click add extension. It's going to direct you to this page that says join Vendy to leave LinkedIn scrappy inbox behind, and you can either create a new account by entering your name and surname, or if you already have a Condo account, just simply click sign in. Then you're going to see a screen like this which asks you to connect your LinkedIn account with Condo. You're going to simply say yes, connect now. And you can get your first month absolutely for free on the yearly plan as well as the monthly plan. So just pick the one that works best for you and let's get started. All right, it is time for us to have some fun organizing your messages on LinkedIn. The first thing before we do anything else, we want to set up mini inboxes, which are called labels. So you want to move conversations in certain inboxes to clear the main big messy LinkedIn inbox, right? So we're going to click here to organize tabs. And you're going to already see that I have quite a few tabs here already. These are all mini inboxes. And the way you set these up is by clicking create a new label. You're going to name this GIF responses. That's going to be one of yours. Okay, and we can make this yellow, for example, clicking here, select an emoji, cowboy hat, because cowboy hat, all right, beautiful. And now, just so you know, you can hide things or you can make them visible. So if I exit out of this and click in here, you're like, well, there are no messages assigned to this mini inbox. So how do we assign a message? Well, I'm gonna go to unread messages, and Zachary actually responded to the GIF we just sent. So I'm gonna go ahead, add a label, and the latest one we created is here, GIF responses. So now if I go back and click into our label over here, Zachary has been moved to this inbox. Though you probably already noticed that I already have 0 GIF responses, 1 invite to research, 2 video sent, 3 response back, 4 booked, and 5 declined. And I would love for you to set up these same inboxes because we're going to be using them in the next steps as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply delete this one. So that will automatically delete it from Zachary as well, that label. And now he's no longer under the unread inbox because we opened it up. So where did he go? Well, we're going to go into the focused inbox. And this is where, once you open up a message, if it's not assigned anywhere, it's going to live under the focused. Though again, the whole point is that I want to assign a label. So first of all, everyone who responds to the GIF, I'm going to select GIF responses. So any response I get, the 43% that you saw, these are the GIF responses. And then what I always do is I want to check if I want to have a conversation with Zachary. Does he look like my ideal client? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click to open up his profile on LinkedIn. And what I typically like to do is scroll to see the experience section, and if he looks like a potential client of mine, I will invite Zachary to a research call. So now I will go back to Condo and I will assign the second label, which is going to be invite to research. So the difference here is that I send the GIF to everyone, though I don't want to invite everyone to a research call. So if we exit out of this, and if you look at GIF responses, I have over 1,000 conversations, over 1,000 people who have responded to my GIF. If you go into the folder invite to research, there are 54 people that I'd love to have a conversation with, all right? So that is how you start assigning everything. Now, I mentioned that all the messages that are not assigned to a mini inbox will live under the focused. Though you can see here that all of these are the messages I sent out saying, so great to connect with you, together with a GIF. And I don't want them to clutter this space. So whenever I send these GIFs out, I will simply click here. So let's say I sent all these GIFs today, like 9 hours ago, and in the last couple of hours. And now I'm gonna simply click here to archive all these messages, because the moment somebody actually gets back to me, they're gonna be displayed under the unread messages. So this way, just in case there are certain messages that you don't wanna put into smaller inboxes, they're gonna be here. And again, same thing from yesterday. I don't wanna archive these just yet. I should read them first. Otherwise, I'm gonna archive these. So I have a couple of messages I need to read, a couple from earlier this month, and you can see the rest are from 2022. So I pretty much have organized all my messages up until 2022, because then I was like, it's too far. So again, set up these exact labels you see here, and that moves us into step number 4, send research call invitations. So every single person who has responded to your GIF, we're gonna now go ahead and invite onto a research call. And the way I personally love doing this, because I do believe in personalized messages, especially in the era of AI and everyone spamming everyone on LinkedIn. What I personally love doing and what I've been teaching my clients is to record a 60-second personalized message, inviting that person onto a research call. So again, you send a GIF, they respond, and then I typically send a message similar to this. I will say, thank you so much, Greg, because Greg said, love the GIF idea, nice touch. And then I said, I just recorded you a quick video message. and I'm gonna add a link to a Loom video. I'm going to show you how to use it in just a second. The beautiful thing is that on LinkedIn, it will automatically play. So it's going to have a little GIF that automatically plays, and right underneath, very important, this part is very important, you're going to say, how does that sound? Because if you just send them a link and you don't ask a follow-up question, they're not going to click on that video link, okay? So of course, we're going to get more yeses to the research connotation if the person already kind of complimented on our GIF. However, even if somebody just said, you know, thank you, Vendy, or same here as a GIF response, I will still invite this person onto a research call. So again, another example here that I sent to Dave. I just say, hey David, I just recorded you a quick video message. And here you can actually see that the video is vertical, because on Loom, what you can also do is that you can record a video on your phone if you want to and upload it onto Loom and then basically share it that way. I'll show you both options in just a second. If we go back to Condo, you can see that there's so many new messages that have already poured in response to the GIF of people saying, love your energy, likewise, unique opener, likewise, love your energy, right back at you, Vendy, cute GIF. So I'm gonna go through them in a second though. Let me show you what we do as the next step. So again, we previously spoke that everyone gets assignment of GIF responses, meaning, so I'm gonna click in here and I'm just gonna add the label of GIF responses, right? So Ingrid has responded to this GIF, though only to some people I'm gonna also assign the label invite to research. So if we go to that mini inbox right now, invite to research, I have 55 people here, and at the top we have Zachary. So I want to invite Zachary onto a research call. So what I have done on Condo, which makes my life so much easier, is that I have pre-saved snippets. So if I click here, and what's going to happen right now is that I have the snippet I have already created, which I like to be using. So it says, hey Zachary, it already pulls his name, happy, and I'm going to change this. So happy Wednesday? It's Wednesday. This is what happens when you have your own business. I'm like, I don't know, I work every day. Happy Wednesday. I just recorded you a quick video message and link. You see? And I'm gonna show you how to create the snippet in just a second, though this is reminding me that I need to add the link. So what I need to do right now is record Zachary a message. The tool I personally love using for this is Loom, and the beautiful thing is that they have a whole starter plan which is absolutely free, and you can record up to 5-minute long videos. Now it says screen recordings, though I actually use Loom to record direct to camera videos. Let me show you. Once you have it installed on your computer, you're going to simply launch Loom. By default, it's going to be on a screen share mode, which says full screen over here. Though we want to change this to camera only. And I'm gonna move myself up here, and it has already selected the camera I wanna use. It has selected the mic I wanna use, and you're just gonna simply go ahead and click Start Recording. I wanna clarify that this will only record your camera. Even though you can see the background of my desktop here, it will only capture you. So you're gonna click Start Recording, there's gonna be a little countdown for you, and then you're just gonna simply record a quick message, inviting the person onto a research call. Now, if you want to know exactly what I say when I invite somebody onto a research call, I'm going to add multiple examples right below this video just to save ourselves some time, though you're going to see the exact script and you're going to be able to adapt it for yourself. Though when you stop the recording on Loom, it is going to launch a page like this. And I want you to notice the first thing that I always do is I rename the video to be the person's name. It's going to say, hey Zachary, hey Sarah. The second thing I typically do is I'm gonna go ahead and trim the video a little bit. Typically the ending is what I need to trim here. You can see that this is all I have done. I just trimmed the ending. I can trim the beginning as well if needed, just so there are no any kind of weird pauses. And you're gonna go ahead and click finish. And what I personally also like doing is I go to settings, go to audience, and I basically turn all of this off. Otherwise, well, basically I don't want people to be able to download this video. That's not needed. I want to turn off any emojis, anything that's a distraction. So once this is done, we need to go back to Condo. And you can see that in our message, we need to replace this placeholder to be an actual link. So again, hopping back to Loom over here, we're gonna go ahead and copy this unique URL, and then I'm going to paste it in here. So I'm gonna remove this, paste it in. I typically like to remove www because, I don't know, feel like it's unnecessary. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead, actually we need a comma. Hey Zachary, happy Wednesday. Just record you a quick video message. And I'm gonna go ahead and send this. Though we're not done yet. Once you send this message, we also want to send the follow-up, which is, how does that sound? Again, we have to ask a question to encourage Zachary to actually watch this video. So again, I have saved this as a snippet. So I'm going to click insert snippet and I have this, how does that sound? Again, so I don't have to type it every single time. I'm going to click send. And now we are done. Now, I want to mention that you're not seeing the preview generated on Condo just yet, though it's definitely getting generated on the LinkedIn side. And the moment I invite somebody onto a research call, I have to change their status, their label from invite to research to video sent. So let me show you. You can see that Zachary is no longer under the invite to research category, and now he is under video sent. And again, the moment Zachary is going to get back to me, what am I going to do? I am going to change this to be response back. And that way it is very simple for me to stay on top of everything up until the point we actually get somebody booked onto a research call. And just so you see exactly how this looks on LinkedIn and what Zachary is seeing, I send the GIF, said, so great to connect with you. Zachary said, same here, Vendy. Now we just sent that research invitation saying, hey Zachary, happy Wednesday, just recorded you a quick video message. Can you see this preview being generated on LinkedIn? This always happens with a Loom link, which is lovely. And then we had, how does that sound? And wow. Happy Wednesday, I'll take a listen. Zachary is actually super fast with these responses. I will feel like by the time I finish this YouTube video, we're gonna already be booked in. This is brilliant, I love this. So again, can you see how effective this can be? And that's why we're doing this personal touch. I promise you, if you sent somebody a super long spammy message inviting them on a research call, most people would ignore you. This stands out, we're being personal, and that pays back in the long run. Whilst we're waiting for Zachary's response, I want to show you an A to Z example of booking somebody in for a research call. So again, first of all, we send the GIF and we say, so great to connect with you. The person responds. They say, nice to connect with you as well, nice to meet you, same here. Whatever the response, we're gonna invite this person onto a research call. So we're saying like, hey, happy Tuesday, I just recorded you a quick video message. We add a Loom link, and then we send this message separately. This is very important because this needs to be the last thing people see, where we say, how does that sound? And in this instance, actually, Eureka was saying, hey, thank you for the video message and the effort you put into it, which I did. I'm very busy this week, though. Can you send me a reminder next week? And I'm saying, of course. I'm happy to reconnect next week. And he said, thanks, Vendy. So then the next week, what did I do? I'm just checking in. I'm saying, hey, Eureka. And now, from this point onwards, you're gonna offer once you basically get a yes, you're gonna offer the person one time for a meeting, or you're gonna ask if it's easier to send your calendar over. So here I said, are you free at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, November 26th? Okay, so the reason I did not also add the time zone, which I typically do, I would say EST, PST, because I knew that Eureka was based in the UK and my profile says the same thing, so I don't have to add that. Otherwise, I make sure I quote and propose the time in their local time zone. So I'm saying 4 p.m. Tuesday, November 26th, or would it be easier for me to send my calendar over? In this instance, Eureka said, yes, I'm free at this time, UK time, send me the invite to this email, which I will blur out, of course, for privacy. And then I'm saying, just send you the calendar invite, can you see it? And he responded yes. So most people actually typically say yes to the time you propose, unless they do have a conflict. Now here I have sent the GIF, so great to connect with you, Eric. Eric said same here, Vendy. Then I invited Eric onto a research call, a Loom link, and a separate message, how does that sound? So that to encourage him to watch the video. Eric responded, just listen to your message. Thank you for keeping it short and to the point. So again, 1-2 minutes max, no 5-minute ramblings. And Eric said, happy to jump on a call, and I'm hoping you have some suggestions to help me. So he's like, I tried a few LinkedIn things, but nothing has been very successful. So the one thing I do want to remind you is that the people who are going to say yes to the research call are the people who see value in hopping in a call with you. Because trust me, if they watch the video, they also checked out your profile and they're like, you know what, this might actually be an interesting conversation. So yes, I'm happy to help Vendy with her research, though what I'm also gonna do is ask a few questions of my own. That's why people say yes to research. So he said yes, and again, what did I do? I proposed one time. 11 a.m. MST on Monday, January 20th, or would it be easier to send my calendar over? And in this instance, Eric was like, please send me your calendar. And the way I typically do this is by saying research with Vendy. I add a link, I attach a GIF pointing outwards just so you don't miss it basically. Here's the link. And then I'm saying, mind telling me when you find a time that works. The main thing though, I wanted to remind you is that I do not type these messages out every single time from scratch, because that would not be very efficient in terms of our time. So what we actually do is we insert a snippet. So all of these are also already pre-written, right? So you can see, what do we have here? We have the time. For example, I select this. Are you free at this time or date, or would it be easier to send my calendar over? So all these are saved snippets, which I love about Condo. And the way you create these for yourself is by clicking on this button over here to go to snippets. You can see all of mine here already, and you're gonna simply click create, and you're gonna name your snippet. And here you can also basically say that I always include person's name, or you have placeholders. And the idea of placeholder is that it's going to be in a different color. So for example, if I'm saying, are you free at time? Because the worst thing that we could do is accidentally send a template without changing the things that must be changed. So basically this allows you to visually remember that you must change this. You're not gonna just send a template as is by accident. Once you have booked in your research calls, you might be wondering, Vendy, what questions am I supposed to ask during these calls? Which moves us into step number 5, research call questions. The questions you ask on your research call are almost identical to the same questions you would ask during the sales call whenever you are in the discovery or agenda phase. So the only difference is that in our research call, you're not going to make an offer to your potential customer. Again, you have to keep your integrity, hold your word, though you want to understand exactly what their struggles are, what their goals are, what have they tried in the past that hasn't worked, what would their ideal solution look like. So I'm going to share the questions I used to ask whenever I was selling my LinkedIn Bootcamp. It's no longer an offer. I no longer teach LinkedIn, though I want to show you exactly how I was guiding people through a research call and then rebooking them for that second call, which is where you actually make an offer. So here at the top are a couple of reminders for me, and I always remind myself, repeat their name often in a conversation, speak slowly and with confidence, because I do have a problem with speaking way too fast. Pay attention and nod when the person is talking, and always mirror what they said and only then ask the next question. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean in just a second. Now, you want to start the call by saying, hey John, thank you so much for hopping in a research call with me today. Now, my plan for today's call is, and basically set the agenda, set the goal, okay? So you're gonna be leading this call. And I typically like to say, well, number one, in the first part of the call, I would love to learn more about your business and how you have been using LinkedIn so far. Because again, I used to offer LinkedIn coaching, which is why I was inquiring about LinkedIn. And then I typically say, and in the second part of the call, I want to make sure I return the favor and answer any questions that you might have about LinkedIn, which again, this is the added benefit where people are doing a research call with you because they want to ask a few questions completely for free. And then you're going to ask, how does that sound? And the person is going to say, sounds great, and you go into it. So the way I typically like to run both my sales calls, and again, sales call and a research call, the beginning part, pretty much identical. So if you have ever done sales, any sales calls you have done so far, those questions are going to be the same ones you use in a research call. So first of all, I typically, and let me just zoom in just so you can see this better. I typically like to get started by understanding somebody's goal. So I might ask them, what is your goal with LinkedIn right now? And the person is going to say, well, I kind of want to generate some leads for my business. So far I've been relying on referrals, though I really feel like it's not very predictable and I want to have a platform I can use for consistent lead generation. Great. By the way, I definitely have a notepad. I write down the main things that the person is saying. And the first thing you're going to do before you ask the next question, you need to mirror back what they just said, okay? So remember, a research call is not like I ask a question, they answer, I ask a question, they answer. You're not going to build any level of, they're not going to feel like you understand them if you're going to do that. And the whole purpose of this call is to make sure that they feel very listened to and that you understand them. So again, what would I do now? once they answer this first question, I will say, so it sounds like so far you have been relying on referrals as the main way of getting clients, though that hasn't been too consistent and predictable, and you're looking for a way or a platform that you can rely on for consistent lead generation. Is that correct? And the person's gonna be like, yes, that's exactly it. I'm like, beautiful. And only then I will ask the next question. And typically what I used to do is say, so we're getting more specific. So how many clients do you have currently from referrals? So now you see I added the referrals part because I remember that from what we just discussed. And they're going to answer. You know, they might say like, you know what, I'm getting like maybe 8 referral clients every month. Okay, and again, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna mirror it back. All right, so you're getting 8 referral clients so far. How many more would you like to be getting on monthly basis? And again, they're gonna answer that question. And I'm going to mirror back what they said. So let's say, you know what, I kind of want 20 clients I get every single month. So again, I'm gonna mirror it back. So, all right, so it sounds like the goal is to move away from referrals, have LinkedIn be the main platform for reaching your customers, and the goal would be 20 new clients every single month. And they're gonna nod. So I do this, so I'm not gonna go into this every single time, though I just wanted to make sure that, meaning with you, with the person I'm speaking to, I always mirror. This would take us too much time if I did this with every single question. Though I wanna make sure it's very clear that whenever I ask a question and they answer, I'll first mirror back whatever they said, and only then I'll ask the next question, okay? So they really feel very heard, very listened to. So I ask about goals. I ask about, in my instance, when I was selling the LinkedIn Bootcamp, I would understand who's their ideal customer, okay? How much is one client worth to them? I want to understand, okay, well, the problems in past experience. Tell me about what you're doing right now to get in front of customers on LinkedIn. And again, they might say, oh, well, I've been trying to post, and I kind of tried a bit of spammy outreach, and I've been kind of commenting, but I don't really see if that's doing anything. Okay. And I'm like, okay, and I'm gonna repeat back exactly what they said. I'm gonna double check how long then have they been running this strategy. And again, so we're kind of going into the paint here. So I would be like, all right, so you have been posting like 3-4 times a week. You have been commenting at least on 5 posts every single day. You've tried some cold outreach. You've been doing this strategy for about the last 9 months, and they're like nodding. And then I would be like, so how many clients have you generated by doing that so far? And they're simply gonna be like, 0. So you're making them realize that what they're doing is not working, all right? So again, like this is again, I told you, this is very similar to how you would run a sales call. If we call those agenda questions. And then for me, it was important to understand if they're doing any other marketing. It is also important for me to understand how urgent is it to solve this problem. You know, how important is to change this right now and get to a point where you're getting 20 clients a month rather than just 8, which are from referrals, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, very important. Okay, repeat that. And why are we doing it now though? Why haven't we solved this in the past? Then I want to understand, again, in my instance, because when I develop our boot camps, right, I work together with my clients with done with you or done for you basis. I want to understand, what does the ideal program look like? What would it include? They're going to tell me. And again, I'm going to mirror it back to them, and then I'm going to ask, so, I'm going to mirror back everything they said, and then I can ask, so how much would you be willing to invest in a program like this? They get to, this is not a sales call, they literally get to be honest with me and be like, you know what, probably this or that. And it's just an interesting question to ask. So again, I know these are very specific to LinkedIn because, again, your research hall questions are very similar to your agenda questions of really, they're going to be specific to your space. Though goals is what you're trying to understand, pain, what they've tried, what hasn't been working. If they're ever giving you like these high level responses when you're like, oh yeah, I want leads, and they shut up. Or like they just don't go deep, ask them, walk me through, tell me more. Can you share with me? Can I ask why? Can you be more specific? Give me an example about what did you mean by that? So like you might have to dig deeper because not everyone's a big talker, right? But you're trying to understand what do they really want and why is that important? And then once you go through this, and if you were wondering, well, how long are the research calls? Typically, I would say half an hour. If it's going really well and we're diving very deep, it could be 45 minutes. And sometimes if I hop on a call and I immediately can tell this is not the perfect fit customer, even though I thought they were when I invited them, though I immediately could tell, you know what, I'm not the best person to support them, permission to wrap up a research call within 10 minutes. Because they don't know how long it's supposed to be, right? I do book it in a calendar for roughly 30 minutes, sometimes 45, though I will wrap it up early. And I would just ask them, be like, okay, I would say, okay, I'm happy, this was great. And I just make sure that, you know, I honor what we spoke about at the beginning, that they can ask me any questions they have, and I'll just wrap up the call. Though, most important thing, because I mentioned, we do not sell on a research call. You have to keep your word. This was a research call. You did not bait them into a sales call. You will understand the pain. And by the way, make sure you record these calls. I do recommend using, you could use Fathom. I can add a link below. This is the tool I'm using to record all of my research calls in the past, all of my sales calls as well, because you can then use the exact words that your customer used in your marketing, in your messaging. Very important, all right? Now, at the end of the call, once you've gone through with research, what are you going to do? You just want to book them on the follow-up call. Now, important thing to, I want to remind you here, you only book the people that are qualified to work with you, okay? So you don't book somebody you didn't enjoy talking with. Don't book somebody you don't want to work with. Though the people who are like, you know what, I feel like I could support this person, I'd love to work with them. So at the end of the call, you can say something along the lines of, this was incredibly helpful, John, Sarah. I'm gonna be implementing all these changes and all your suggestions right away in this week, in the next couple of days. And I'd really love to show you the final program once I implement all these changes for any final feedback, just before I release it to the world and, you know, embarrass myself. Are you free the same time next week? So this is something what I would ask, and everyone's going to tell you yes, and everyone's going to say yes to that follow-up call because you already built the rapport. They felt very listened to because you've mirrored back what they were saying. And that second call is actually the call that you more run as a sales call because the person has given you permission to show what you do. And you want to make sure that second call that you rebook, you go through their pain again, you remind them, oh, you mentioned that this was a problem, you tried this and you tried that, and all these things, right? So you remind them of that pain, and then you show how your solution, your service, your program solves all those problems, and you give them a special offer because you helped me with research. Give them some sort of either special bonus, special discount, something because they support you with the research. And that, my darling, is how we run research calls and rebook people on a follow-up call, which is where you make an offer and you get a customer. Just in case you're wondering, Vendy, how many research calls do I need to run until I get a client? So let me show you the exact stats by Sergey. So he so far has run 182 research calls on LinkedIn. And out of all these people that he spoke to, he rebooked 68 people on a follow-up call, which means that only 37% of the people that he initially spoke to were qualified and actually looked like his ideal clients. So that's why he only rebooked 68. Though from these 68 follow-up calls, which are basically sales calls, where he made a special offer, he closed 22 clients, meaning that his closing percentage was 32%, which is very, very good. And what we can see from these numbers, and what Sergey is well aware as well and has already fixed, is that he initially, he's clearly not scared of work and conducting a lot of research calls, though initially he just booked research calls with too many people that actually were not his ideal customers. So he didn't do enough qualification at the beginning, which is why there weren't that many people to rebook on the actual follow-up call, though from the follow-up to clients closed, that's a very strong closing percentage. So once he actually fixed who he invites in a research call and really understand their pain, rebook that person on a follow-up call, then when he does make that offer on a follow-up call because he knows everything about the customer pains and what they've tried, again, he gives them a special offer, then 32% of the people become customers. If this video about research calls was useful to you, I would so appreciate if you could kindly hit that subscribe button down below. I'm sprinting after 100K subscribers on YouTube by the end of 2025, and I am miles away and would so appreciate your support. Now, if you want to learn why I personally switched from one-to-one relationship building on LinkedIn using research calls over to one-to-many brand building on YouTube, then you also might want to check out this video next. So go ahead, click over here, and I'll see you there.